Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 127 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Yeah, we got a lot to tell you in this episode.
Loads of stuff.
Tons of stuff to tell you in this episode. We were on a trip.
We were.
We took the train to New York City. It's the first time I've taken a train for a long distance like that, and it was really pleasant.
Yeah. I love trains.
Yeah, I had a good time. I mean, naturally, if you're in some kind of crunch for time to get to where you're going, maybe not the best choice because it takes 8 hours to get from where we are to New York City.
It does, but
it's better than driving. It's much more comfortable than flying and so much more affordable.
Yes. All of the things. I agree with all of those things.
Yeah, and it's like super stress-free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just watch as the world goes by. Mm-hmm. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the way to New York, I got loads of work done, and you were playing word games and all of that kind of stuff. And then, you know, just sitting and chatting and watching the world go by, as you said. And it's just kind of great. I love it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. And they do have a cafe car. While they don't have a ton of vegan options, there were some things we could eat there.
There were a couple of things. They had some hippies.
Yeah, those hippies like cheese puffs.
Yeah, the vegan chickpea puffs. Mm-hmm. They had those. And we got some veggies and hummus. And supposedly there is a vegan barbecue burger on the menu, but they didn't have that available.
They didn't have it. And, you know, I wasn't holding out high hopes that it would be anything too fantastic.
No, but I mean, it was nice that it was on the menu. It was unfortunate that we couldn't try it.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I guess we would have tried it had they had it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, train ride, fun. Very fun.
Good time.
Our main reason for going to New York, besides seeking out all the great vegan food that there is to be had in New York City, is Sam got us tickets, and this was a Christmas gift for me. The trip and the tickets to see Hadestown on Broadway with Ani DeFranco in the role of Persephone.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting.
Oh my God. It was
so
amazing.
Exciting. And the show, if you have not seen Hadestown, it is a fantastic show.
Brilliant.
It won 8 Tony Awards in 2019, one of them being Best Musical.
Yes.
One of them being, I believe, Best Soundtrack. Best Original Score soundtrack.
I think it was original score, yeah.
The Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous show. It is absolutely brilliant from start to finish. The premise is great. The way that the story of Orpheus and Eurydice has been kind of updated and turned into this kind of almost steampunk, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they did a really fantastic job staging and portraying like Hades' underworld and all that. Really fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't
and it was
say fantastic
a really
enough.
Interesting like commentary on the state of our capitalist society.
Yeah, there was some cool stuff woven in there.
Really, really amazing stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was like part love story, part like Greek tragedy. And then like Sam said, all this commentary on the world that we're living in now. So yeah, run out and see it if you get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
Do.
And of course, supported by great music, really fantastic scenic design, lighting design, costume design.
Yeah,
all
the staging
things.
was amazing.
It really was.
A lot of really cool stuff going on with the staging.
Yep.
And we didn't know really anything about this show. I had listened to the soundtrack a couple of times.
I had not.
Sam didn't. She went in completely blind.
Yeah, it's my new thing. If I don't know a show, I'm now committed to not learning anything about a show before I see it.
That way you don't have any kind of preconceived...
No preconceived notions.
Yes. I really didn't have any preconceived notions even after listening to the soundtrack. It didn't really give the story away or anything. So that was our main reason for hopping on the train and going to New York. But, you know, there are other things ensued. And we'll get to that in our main topic.
We sure will.
Yeah. We don't have a recipe this week as we were traveling, and I didn't have time to cook one.
That's okay.
But I'm sure we'll be back on that recipe train next week.
Indeed.
So let's just jump into our noteworthy section. In our Noteworthy section, we're going to be telling you about tribal groups that are trying to remove dairy from the USDA dietary guidelines.
So this is coming from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, an article written by Frank Vavelas. Jonathan Nez, former president of the Navajo Nation, sees firsthand every day how a federally promoted diet is devastating Indian country. For thousands of years, the Three Sisters diet of corn, beans, and squash was a staple for many indigenous tribes in North America. But in USDA guidelines, they don't even get a primary category, Nez said. He's helping to lead an effort to not only promote more indigenous foods nationally, but also to remove foods he and others believe can be detrimental to health, such as dairy. While grains and cereals still make the base of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's guidelines, meaning those foods should comprise most of Americans' diets, dairy products enjoy the same importance as vegetables. In the U.S., about 36% of people are lactose intolerant, according to the National Institutes of Health, with people of color being much more likely to have lactose malabsorption. Worldwide, about 68% of people are lactose intolerant. To this day, government programs continue to harm the health of our people, Nez said in a press release. Milk, cheese, and other dairy products were never part of our tradition. Dairying is a European custom, and today the dietary guidelines still push us to consume milk. The USDA dietary guidelines have a major effect on the menus served at institutions across the country, such as public schools and hospitals.
Yeah, we've spoken about that.
We have. Nez has been attempting to get the support of leaders from individual tribal nations in Wisconsin to join the call to remove dairy from the federal dietary guidelines. With 43.5% of the state's agriculture activity generated from the dairy industry, resulting in a $45.6 billion economic impact in Wisconsin, it's unclear if tribal leaders here will openly join in Nez's efforts. But he has won the support of the National Congress of American Indians, an organization that includes representatives from tribal nations in Wisconsin. The claim that dairy is detrimental to the native diet is supported by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, a public health nonprofit of 17,000 physicians that's advocating for the removal of dairy from the 2025 to 2030 federal dietary guidelines.
We love the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
We are huge fans of the PCRM. We love them very, very much.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, Native Americans do not need to consume cow's milk since there are so many other foods and beverages that can provide the calcium, protein, vitamins, and minerals that are needed for growth and energy, said Dr. Vanita Raman of the Physicians Committee. She said some research shows that dairy consumption can be linked to several negative health factors in many Native Americans and people of color, such as a trigger for asthma, diabetes, and heart disease. Some of the top killers for indigenous people in Wisconsin are heart disease, which causes about 20% of deaths for American Indians, and diabetes, of which American Indians here are more than 3 times likely to die from than whites, according to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. Amy Winters, executive director of the Wisconsin Dairy Products Association, explained that the federal dietary guidelines are recommendations based on scientific studies identifying where there are nutritional deficits in American society and the types of foods or beverages that are best suited to provide those nutrients. Many school-aged children are not receiving enough essential nutrients for growth, development, healthy immune function, and overall wellness, she said. Milk, cheese, and yogurt in school meals, including lactose-free and reduced lactose options, are one of the best opportunities for children to get the critical nutrients they need and should not be removed from the USDA's dietary guidelines.
Propaganda warning.
She said the guidelines don't dictate which specific foods should be consumed and don't preclude healthy foods that people have in their family or ancestral history. Winters said expanding programs such as the Wisconsin Tribal Elder Food Box Program and federal programs such as the Healthy Food Financing Initiative and the Food Distribution Program on Indian reservations would be a better way to promote healthy diets for Indigenous peoples, rather than removing dairy from the federal guidelines, which could have a negative health effect for many families.
No, it would not.
We need more healthy food options and better access to healthy food for those facing food insecurity, not less, Winters said. Asking USDA to remove an American staple from food guidelines will not improve the health of Native Americans. Finding ways to support healthy food inclusion, reduce food insecurity, and support additional food sovereignty initiatives are a much better use of resources to improve the health of all Americans. I got the feeling you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it just, this all screams as propaganda. And what she's not taking into account is what they're trying to do here with altering the USDA recommendations is, can we just stop teaching our children that these are the things that they need in order to be healthy? And then can we stop forcing our children to consume dairy products while they're in school?
That's right.
That's what they're getting at.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with her that there are other ways to make sure that people eat healthy, but we can't do that while our government is infiltrating our school systems. And I mean, you probably saw that too in like health class or whatever they call it now.
Oh, sure.
Where they show you the food pyramid and all the recommended nutrition that you should have. And kids, they're seeing this in class and being taught that this is how they're supposed to eat because they're being indoctrinated.
That's right.
So, yeah, propaganda.
Yes, absolutely. And I look forward to, I am actually going to get to teach a class next semester, which focuses a little bit also on nutrition.
Yeah.
To, instead of looking at the food pyramid as certain groups of foods, looking at things from a nutrient standpoint.
Right.
A specific nutrient standpoint.
Well, that's good.
For example, dairy is not the only way to get calcium, but everyone thinks of dairy as being the number one source of calcium.
Right. Or vitamin D.
Right.
Or, yeah.
But because they're thinking of it from a nutrient standpoint, they're not also considering how much cholesterol, saturated fat, and other very detrimental things that they are taking in.
For humans, not to mention how detrimental it is to the animals that are forced to produce it.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I've said my piece. You can go on.
Okay. As a result of the efforts of NES, the NCAI, and other tribal groups, the Federal Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, at its January 19th meeting, announced that it'll conduct a food simulation study specific to Native Americans to make up for a lack of government data. Dr. Valerie Bluebird Jernigan, who's a member of the federal committee and a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, presented the update that the government says will help ensure that Native Americans are better represented in its work of determining dietary guidelines. The federal government plans to release its 2025 to 2030 guidelines by the end of 2025.
Yeah, and we'll see what that says. I'm sure it'll still say, eat your meat and dairy.
Well, chances are, because, you know, the dairy industry and the meat industry have quite a bit of pull when it comes to those guidelines.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we were just watching an episode of The West Wing, as we are known to do. And in this West Wing episode, there was a case of mad cow disease discovered in the United States.
Yes.
And of course, their quandary was, how do they release this information to the public without causing panic? And not only that, without causing the economic collapse that would be involved in something like that, because the meat and dairy industry are so ingrained and entrenched in our economic system that it would cause this huge domino effect of economic collapse.
Certainly.
The, shares for meats would fall. Thus, then shares of
beef
soy
would be pulled from shelves.
Yep.
Nobody would be eating at restaurants. Nobody would be going to fast food places. And of course, if there are no longer animals to feed, soy and corn,
which are also traded, and people invest in them, and those would collapse. It's so entrenched in our economy.
Yeah. Yes. As Leo McGarry said, the dominoes don't end on this one.
We definitely wish them luck with this initiative, and more power to them.
Yep.
You know,
I would love to see more than anything, well, maybe not more than anything in the world, but when it comes to the USDA guidelines, I would really love to see them approach it, again, not as meat and dairy or fruit and vegetables or, you know, I would love to see it as proteins, carbohydrates.
right? Just nutrients. Just show the nutrients and ways that you can get them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That you're not pointing people towards specific foods.
Right.
You know, and when we're talking about meat and we're talking about dairy, we're talking about foods that are inherently harmful to human health.
And include that information.
Yes.
Right? On the dietary guidelines, include that information on the little chart everybody sees. I'm sure it's included in a long, drawn out, you know, text that goes along with the dietary guidelines, but that's not what people see, and especially students don't see that.
Right.
They see the little charts and the graphs and the pies, right? And that gets burned into their brain. So, yeah. So, yeah, we need a complete overhaul of that system for sure.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be great. I don't expect that we'll see it anytime soon, but it's a nice idea.
Maybe not in our lifetime, but we can hope. Always have hope.
Indeed.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to move on to our main topic. This week's main topic is
vegan New York City.
Yes, we're going to tell you all about the food we found, the places we went, the things we did.
But mostly the food.
Mostly the food. We told you about what we found on Amtrak.
Yep. So we had some Hip Peas vegan cheese puffs. And of course, those are made from chickpeas.
Yeah.
And those are yummy.
I love those.
Yeah, they are. They're good. They're a good snack.
They taste like cheese puffs.
We don't have them very often. But when we do, we always kind of go, oh, these are good.
Right.
Yeah. And then we got a little kind of crudité plate of veggies and hummus. So it was just
sad. Crudité.
It was, you know.
I mean, it's kind of a reach to call it a crudité. It was some kind of sad looking little baby carrots.
It was 3 little baby carrots and 2 little pieces of celery and 1 piece of broccoli and 2 cherry tomatoes.
And probably 3 tablespoons of hummus in a
not even
in a little container.
Not even.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it was 2.
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
Yeah.
It was pretty sad.
It was.
But it was there. It was something.
It was something.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, but you know, hey, it was a good thing to bounce all the other great food that we were about to have off of, you know.
Yeah. So let me just lead this off by saying there is some phenomenal vegan food in New York.
Yeah. There's so many places.
So many. I mean, we could do this same trip every year for the rest of our lives and not hit every vegan restaurant in New York City.
No, I bet we couldn't.
So many to choose from.
Yeah.
And, you know, before the trip, I had spent a lot of time on Happy Cow, like kind of identifying restaurants that I thought maybe we would want to try.
Yeah.
And actually, we didn't end up going to
any of them.
Oh, no, one.
We went to one of them.
Only one.
Yeah. We kind of flew by the seat of our pants, which worked out really well for us.
It did.
Yeah. And so our trip went smoothly. We got there smoothly. We caught the subway to where we were staying.
Oh, we didn't need to catch the subway.
Oh, that's right. We didn't.
Yeah, no subway.
That's right.
Yeah,
because the Amtrak
our hotel was a short walk from Penn Station.
Yeah,
yep.
So Amtrak lets you off at Penn Station. So we walked to where we were staying, this cute little kind of boutique-y old hotel called the Gregorian.
The Gregorian.
Very cute.
Oh, it was adorable.
Yeah. One thing with the Gregorian, they were having some issues with their elevators. One was out. The other one took a lifetime to come.
Yes.
And was just large enough for 4 people.
Yes.
Very small elevator. So we were on the 7th floor. And when we first got there, we said, oh, we'll take the stairs. Wow.
Yeah. So this was 7 flights of very narrow, very steep stairs with luggage.
With luggage.
And we were traveling light.
We do travel light.
We travel very light. But still.
We each had a carry-on bag.
We each had a carry-on bag.
And a purse. And you had a backpack.
I had my backpack and you had your purse. And so, so up the 7 flights of stairs initially.
It was a workout.
It was a bit of a workout. Yeah, it was. And so, we took a little recovery time once we got up to our hotel room, which was absolutely adorable and
Very
kind
cute.
of minimalist art deco, like just really lovely.
Very cute and clean.
Yes, very clean. We were very happy with the room. And so after some deliberation, we decided that we were going to head out into the city to find our first vegan meal. And we very literally stumbled upon an incredible experience at Francia Vegan Cafe.
We did. It came up on Google or something when I was looking.
Oh, I'm not sure how you decided that that was the place we were going.
Yeah, it came up. I just Googled, do that thing, vegan food near me. And it was so close to us. I'm like, well, let's check this out.
It was only about 4 blocks away.
Yeah, so we looked at their menu. It looked like they had a lot of really great stuff. And us, not remembering it was Valentine's Day.
Nope, completely forgot.
We went to this place. Did we make a reservation?
We did not.
With no reservation on Valentine's Day evening. We walk into this beautiful little cafe, it's Vietnamese food.
Actually, I think it was Korean fusion.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I misspoke.
Korean fusion.
It's Korean fusion, right? And we walk in and she's like, do you have a reservation? We're like, no, we don't. Well, thankfully it was a little early for dinner.
It was just before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it was just before 5. And she said, well, we have a reservation at 6:30 or something like that. But we can seat you. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And they had this special Valentine's Day menu.
Yes. So there were a couple of options. You could either order off of their regular menu, but it was a limited version of their regular menu.
Yeah, limited
They were
a la
only
carte.
doing a few a la carte dishes. Or you could choose their Valentine's Day prefix 5-course meal.
And that's what we did. We went with the prefix menu.
We went with the prefix menu because that's something we do not experience on a regular basis.
Yeah.
This was a situation where we were going in blind to this restaurant. We really didn't know much about it. We had not made specific plans to be there. So it really was just an exercise in throwing caution to the wind.
It was. And do you have a copy of that menu? Did you take a picture or did I take a picture of that menu? Because I neglected to write down everything that we got on the show outline. So let's get a picture of the menu up and we'll tell you exactly what we had. So first off, they have on the menu that you can pair the menu with their Valentine's Day special cocktails. They had a strawberry love potion and a love potion mocktail. Sam went with the love potion mocktail and I went with a small jar of sake.
So yes, I went with the love potion mocktail. I have to say, this is one thing I found at all of the restaurants that we visited. They're getting really creative with non-alcoholic cocktails these days.
Oh yeah, they are.
It's so wonderful because for someone like me, we don't go out to special fancy restaurants very often.
Yeah, I think we've said before, we're not fancy people.
We're not fancy people.
Right.
But when we do go to a place that's a bit more elevated than we're used to, I like the idea of having a special drink, but I don't want the alcohol. And so I really, really appreciate that so many restaurants are doing really thoughtful mocktails.
Right.
And they're really delicious.
Yeah.
So the mocktail that I had was, again, the love potion. And it was a very kind of strawberry-y, slightly floral, maybe there was a little bit of jasmine in it. And it was just a tiny bit fizzy. So I'm thinking there might have been a little bit of club soda or maybe a little bit of sparkling cider in there. But it really was beautiful. And it was a great compliment to the meal.
And I went, like I said, with the small jar of sake. It was delicious, warm, really beautiful sake. Because you can have sake, it's not so good.
Yeah, I've not met a sake that I liked.
Yeah, it's too alcohol-y for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was really good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. But if we're ever at an Asian restaurant and I do decide to have a drink, I would go with something like plum wine. I do like plum wine.
Yeah.
But because it's kind of thick and syrupy, you can only have a very small amount of it.
Yeah.
And it tends to come in teeny tiny glasses. So, that's okay. Anyway, along with our drinks, we had a 5-course meal to contend with. And so course 1 was the starters, and there were two options. You could choose either the Korean tofu kimchi stew, which was a spicy stew with kimchi, tofu, and mushrooms, or the Francia special salad, which had vegan chicken, beets, and cucumbers over mixed greens with a house-made dressing.
Yeah, so I went with the kimchi stew.
And I went with the Francia salad.
And mine was fantastic. It was like this slightly spicy broth, super umami, and not fermented tasting, even though there was a bunch of kimchi in there. It was beautifully balanced.
It really was. I had one taste of the broth from Christine's soup, and it really was lovely.
Yeah, it was
and
delicious.
I'm not a huge fan of fermented flavor. And so that there was a kimchi-based dish going on that I would have thoroughly enjoyed had I gotten it myself.
You would have eaten the whole thing.
It was really great.
Yeah.
Yes. And the salad was just beautiful, incredibly fresh, raw vegetables.
Yeah.
Beautifully flavorful. Their vegan chicken, which I believe was soy-based, was perfectly prepared, perfectly cooked. Texture was great. Flavor was great. And I'm not sure what their house-made dressing was, but oh my gosh, was it beautiful.
Yeah, and then they put little heart-shaped vegetables in it.
There were hearts everywhere.
Yeah.
On every dish that came out, there were these gorgeously cut out hearts in beet and radish and carrot, and it was so lovely.
I think there was a sweet potato.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Really cute.
Now, after that, the second course was a single offering. Okay, so we each had the same thing for the appetizer platter, and that was a combination of their Peking duck bao buns and a fried calamari skewer.
The calamari, I said it was some sort of sorcery going on. It was so good and texturally perfect and light, and it was just perfectly breaded, and I don't know. I'm speechless.
Yeah, I think the calamari skewer was the single most perfect bite we had all weekend.
It was pretty amazing.
It was literally this experience of, oh my God, that's perfect. How on earth did they do that?
Yeah.
It was so texturally spot on.
Yeah.
Incredibly flavorful, fried to perfection. It was decadent and light at the same time, and just unbelievably fabulous.
Yeah, and I think Sam chose to bite into her bao first.
I did.
And I chose to bite into the calamari first. And I just put it in my mouth and just went, my eyes just got really big. And
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Sam's like, oh, is it good?
Yeah, I'm like, is that good or bad?
I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it really was.
And the baos were good too.
They were.
But the calamari outshone it by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. So just really lovely on the bao buns. The buns themselves were perfectly steamed, really nice greens going on there. And also their vegan duck was lovely as well.
Yeah.
And
texturally spot on.
Actually, the first time I had ever had anything even resembling duck that I enjoyed.
Right.
Because I had only had duck once in my entire life, and I did not like it because it was not cooked well at all. Even though the flavor is fine, it was just not well prepared, and so I didn't particularly enjoy it. But this was different. I thoroughly enjoyed the bao buns, and then seriously, this fried calamari was out of this world.
Yeah.
And that's something that they do have on their regular menu. You can just get an order of the fried calamari.
And we would.
Oh, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Most definitely.
Just give us a big old plate of that stuff.
Because, it was phenomenal.
It was. So, the appetizers
were a home run.
Yeah, they hit it out of the park.
Yes. Next, we had the sushi platter. So, sea life was actually my favorite kind of protein category prior to us going vegan. I would prefer fish or shellfish to anything else, poultry, and certainly any land animal. So I've been kind of staying away from all imitation versions of
Yeah,
those
there aren't
things.
a whole lot of really good ones out there. Like we did like the Gardein fishless fillets, but that's just like for a sandwich or something.
Right. That's just for a sandwich. It's not a regular thing, So we haven't really investigated vegan fish or vegan shellfish. And so I was a little dubious about the sushi platter, but then it came out and there were 3 different rolls. One was a chicken teriyaki roll. The second was a crispy crab roll. And the third was a spicy tuna roll. And I went with the tuna roll first because I was like, okay.
You were afraid of it, so
I
you're
was
like,
a
get it
little
over
afraid
with.
of it, so I was going to get it over with.
Yeah.
And much to my surprise, it was really lovely.
Oh, it was delicious. And it had like a little drizzle of this mayo-based, I'm sure vegan mayo, of course, vegan mayo-based sauce on it. And wow.
Yeah, it was
yummy.
Really, really lovely. Beautiful texture, kind of smooth and creamy, set against perfectly cooked sushi rice.
Yeah.
And wrapped into a lovely little roll. The chicken teriyaki was the same chicken that I had on the top of my Francia salad.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was absolutely beautiful. And it had a little drizzle of a teriyaki sauce on it, which was lovely. But the star of the sushi platter was without a doubt the crispy crab roll.
Yeah. Again, some sort of sorcery going on.
Yeah. Right alongside the calamari, there is some kind of vegan sorcery happening that is making this incredible vegan crab.
Yeah, and I really believe wholeheartedly that a non-vegan person could have eaten that sushi plate and not known for an instant that they were eating vegan food and would have been completely and utterly satisfied with it.
I believe that's absolutely true for the crab and the chicken.
Yeah.
I think they would have noticed the difference on the tuna.
Maybe a little bit texturally with the tuna.
Texturally.
Yeah.
But so what?
It's
still delicious.
They were delicious.
Yeah.
I loved every one of them.
Me too. Really loved it. For course number 4, the entree.
Yeah, moving on to our entree.
We again had choices, and there were 4 options. And those options were the tofu crumble stone bowl rice, the curry chicken stone bowl rice, the crispy Korean chili tofu, or a Buddha's delight. And so for the entree, I got the Buddha's Delight, which was stir-fried veggies and tofu in a savory ginger sauce.
And I believe I had the crispy Korean chili tofu.
Indeed, you did.
Which was pan-fried tofu in a Korean garlic and chili sauce. And just like everything else so far in this meal, it was superb.
Yes, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. This may very well be the most beautifully presented, most elegant, and most unusual meal I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was all those things. As far as ever had, I'm not sure if I can say that. I don't know if I can go that far, but it was definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It was way up there. It was an exceptional experience, really. The Buddha's Delight, the vegetables were fabulously cooked, beautifully textured, still had a nice bite to them, crispy and flavorful, beautiful ginger sauce. I mean, anything with ginger.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The tofu was cooked perfectly and served with beautiful brown rice.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic.
Yeah, and I enjoyed mine thoroughly. Perfect. The tofu was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say perfect enough.
Yeah. It was
so
great.
good.
It was just great.
Oh, and then they topped the evening off with a dessert.
Yes. And oddly enough, I thought this was a slightly strange choice.
It was.
For a restaurant that specializes in Asian cuisine. But they brought us each a slice of red velvet cake with a scoop of vanilla ice cream.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Really kind of out of the realm of what you thought you would get.
Totally out of the realm. Yes.
And now, this was not your typical red velvet cake, though.
No,
I would
was
say
different.
that this is definitely a red velvet cake with an Asian spin.
Yes. But the thing is,
yes,
I can't pinpoint exactly what that spin is.
I would say, I don't know either. It was more like, I don't know, almost candy-like.
Right.
You
But
know?
at the same time, one of my general objections to red velvet cake is that it's just sweet on sweet on sweet. It doesn't
Yeah.
have an actual flavor profile.
It doesn't.
Just
It's true.
sweet.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that that was the case with this.
Yeah.
Yes, it was sweet, but I got almost this underlying berry / almost tea flavor
Oh, yeah, possibly.
about it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there was some green tea somewhere in the mixture or if there was a hibiscus tea in the mixture.
Oh, could have been hibiscus.
I'm really not sure, but it was more flavorful and less sickeningly sweet
Yeah.
than your average red velvet cake.
Yeah, totally agree. And it was a perfect, like, thin slice. It wasn't like a big chunk of cake,
Oh,
you
no.
know?
No,
It was a thin
very
slice
thin
with a little
slice with a
dollop of ice cream on
teeny
top.
scoop of ice cream.
Yeah.
And I have to say that when you paired the cake with the ice cream in the same bite,
Yeah.
the flavor of the cake really came out. So there was something about the vanilla in the ice cream that really, really complemented whatever the flavor profile of the cake actually was. Because I couldn't 100% identify
I couldn't either. It was, like you said, slightly berry, slightly floral, something. There was definitely something going on there.
Yeah, it was different.
But we couldn't pinpoint.
And it was very tasty.
It was, and it was a wonderful way to end the meal. And we are so glad that they were so gracious and allowed us to sit, even though we didn't have reservations.
Yes.
And as we were finishing up, it was really starting to hop in there.
It was.
You know?
Yeah. So we got in early, but it was very, very clear as we were starting to leave, the restaurant was starting to fill up. It was very clear that they were going to be quite busy that night.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were lucky. Very lucky. We just stumbled upon that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. It was wonderful.
Such a good meal.
A very, very special meal.
Yeah, so we went back to the Gregorian to rest up after our day of travel and whatnot. I mean, we were really good. We almost Uber eated something. We were good and we went out. So
Yes.
we wouldn't have had this experience.
No, we would not
if
have.
we had listened to our tired bodies, especially after going up 7 flights of stairs with our luggage. If we'd listened to our tired bodies and just Uber eated something, we wouldn't have had nearly the same experience. And I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad we went out.
I am too.
Yeah.
And once we got back to the hotel, we immediately started making reservations for the rest of the meals that we were going to have while we were
let's
there.
not just chance it and, drop into all these restaurants.
Right.
On Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah, we couldn't just kind of bet on the fact that we would continue to, have good luck.
Yeah.
So our next meal, of course, was Thursday morning. We did manage to sleep in just a little bit because we were both a bit tired.
Yeah.
But we then ended up having brunch at UT 47 Kitchen.
Yes, UT 47 Kitchen, which is not a solely vegan restaurant.
It is not. And, but we chose UT 47 because we are both very into breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they had some spectacular looking ones.
What I like about UT 47 is they're not a vegan restaurant per se, but it's hugely vegan forward. If you go to their website, the first thing it says on their website is, well, first it says, welcome to UT 47 Kitchen. And then it says, hey girl, you thirsty? And then it says vegan and non-vegan comfort food. So vegan food is the first thing on their website. Well, let's tell them what we got at UT 47.
I got the vegan BLT with tofu bacon on multigrain bread. And so this was served panini style. So you've got your BLT fixins on multigrain bread and then put into a panini press. And yes, there was a lovely vegan cheese on that sandwich as well. And I got it with a side of their roasted tomato soup.
Yeah, and that soup was good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Not only was the soup in and of itself spectacular, like I would have been happy with just a huge bowl of that tomato soup, but they served the soup in this little cauldron, okay, and it came with a lid, which I thought was adorable, but in this little cauldron that just happened to be the perfect width and depth for sandwich dunking.
Oh, yeah, it was perfect for dunking.
It was perfect, and I'm sorry, but I am absolutely certain that that was purposeful because any sandwich place that also serves soup knows that there's almost no point to having soup with a sandwich unless you're going to dunk.
Right? Especially a tomato soup. It just screams.
Especially tomato soup and something like a grilled cheese or a BLT.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to dunk. So the sandwich was absolutely fabulous. The tofu bacon was perfectly textured,
Yeah.
really flavorful, loved the cheese, all good things.
Yeah.
The soup for me was the star of my plate, and dipping the sandwich in the soup was just kind of dreamy.
Dreamy.
It was a little dreamy. Yeah, it was great.
And with that, you had this beautiful turmeric latte.
Oh my gosh, I am such a fan of golden milk or turmeric lattes.
Yeah.
There is something about the combination of turmeric and ginger and cinnamon and vanilla that I just love.
Yeah.
There's something so warming and comforting about it. And so, yes, I got a turmeric latte, and I got it made with coconut milk.
That's the way to go.
It's the way to go. It's the perfect combination. Now, when I do indulge in turmeric lattes, generally speaking, I don't get them in coconut milk because coconut is incredibly high in saturated fat, and you want to be careful about that, obviously. But for this one, I decided I absolutely had to splurge, and oh my God, was it the right choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was delicious. I tried it.
Perfection. And
super, super turmeric-y.
Yeah. Super turmeric forward, which I love. It certainly wasn't lacking on the ginger or cinnamon or any of that other stuff, but it was very, very turmeric forward, which I absolutely loved. And I have to say also, props to UT47 Kitchen for serving their hot beverages in insulated mugs.
Yeah, they have these really cute, almost looks like an open Yeti 3-finger mug. Mm-hmm. And it keeps your beverage nice and warm the whole time you're sitting there. You don't have to worry about your latte getting cold.
Nope.
So cool.
Yeah, the latte was the first part of the meal to make it to the table, and it was the last thing I finished, and it was still hot at the bottom.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Nice touch. And I had the breakfast sandwich, not a surprise, but it was a vegan tofu, of course, vegan, tofu bacon, which is a house-made tofu bacon, a vegan egg, and I'm not sure if it was just egg or not. I couldn't tell. I think it might have been.
All right.
Avocado, tomato, vegan chow cheese on a bagel, and with that, I had an almond milk latte with a shot of hazelnut, and the sandwich, whoa. It was, first of all, thick.
It was huge.
All that stuff in a bagel, it was, look at 4 inches thick.
Fit that in your face.
It was a definite try to fit that in your face kind of sandwich. A little messy, but really delicious.
Well, my philosophy, the messier the sandwich, the better it is.
Totally hit the spot. And my latte was just as delicious as Sam said hers was. And again, stayed warm throughout the entire meal.
Yeah, I took a sip of Christine's almond milk latte with the shot of hazelnut, and I was like, yeah, this is just how you like your coffee.
Yeah, that's how I like my coffee.
It was kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I drink my coffee, it is almost a latte. Mm-hmm. I almost do half and half.
Yeah.
Half coffee and half plant milk, usually. We don't have any hazelnut syrup.
We don't.
We have vanilla.
We do.
But no hazelnut.
Yeah.
We
only got the vanilla syrup because I was making that.
Oh, that witchy tea thing.
That witchy tea, yeah.
It does add sugar, which I don't usually take sugar in my coffee. So you can get the sugar-free, but then it has artificial sweeteners. I'd just rather not have it.
And also the sugar-free ones don't have the same flavor profile as the ones that have real sugar in them.
But it was delicious. It was a fabulous meal. The wait staff was really friendly.
Just delightful.
Yeah. Cute little place.
And great music.
Yeah, they did have good music.
I was really happy with the music. Yeah. It was noticeable, but not oppressive.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. Yeah. It was just fun.
It was. Super cute little place.
And one thing we did not mention about our meals so far, that both came with a house-made blueberry muffin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And a clementine.
Yeah.
On the side, which I thought was really very sweet. The blueberry muffins were, again, beautiful texture, nice and soft, nice and fluffy. And what I really enjoyed about them was that in addition to being a very solid blueberry muffin, they had an unusual cinnamon forward flavor.
Yeah.
that I really liked.
Yeah.
I don't usually associate cinnamon with a blueberry muffin. You
was
think
really good.
more of a vanilla forward flavor with a blueberry muffin.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that combination. So
It tasted really homey, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good.
And I ate my clementine there, but you took yours with you, right?
I did.
Portable food.
Portable food.
Yeah. Had
Love
it later.
portable food.
You had it later. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was a success, brunch at UT 47 Kitchen.
Absolutely.
We were trying to figure out what is the UT, and we figured it must stand for Uptown. However,
I was thinking that it was probably uptown, but at the same time, 47th Street isn't really uptown.
yeah, they're at 358 West 47th Street if you ever want to check them out. And here's a funny thing that I love that they have on their front page below their contact information. They have a little asterisk that says no laptops, please. So
That's
they want people there to enjoy the food, not to sit there and drink coffee and work.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
To encourage people to take a break.
Yeah, take a break from your devices and just enjoy the food and the atmosphere and have a good time.
Yes.
So I thought that was a cute addition to their front page on their
That is
website.
cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I support that.
Oh, and we should probably tell you where Francia is.
Oh.
If you want to check
suppose
out
we should.
Francia Vegan Cafe, let me just do a little Google here. Let me spell it correctly. Francia Vegan Cafe is located at 12 Park Avenue, New York. And that was really close to where we were staying, so that was convenient.
Yeah. It was only about 4 blocks away.
Yeah.
Yep. Quick walk.
So what do we do after brunch?
Well, after our brunch at UT 47, we had decided to do something that neither of us had ever done.
Some touristy stuff.
Yeah, some touristy things, but we were also kind of staying away from things that we would have to pay a lot of money to do.
We were saving our money for food.
That's right. We knew that being in New York City and going to like kind of special restaurants that we wouldn't necessarily go to under other circumstances.
Right.
You know, we knew we were going to be paying more for food than we normally would. And
we were treating ourselves. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to keep our other activities inexpensive or even free. So anyway, we decided that we would go as downtown as you can go on the island of Manhattan, and that we would take the Staten Island ferry over to Staten Island. And of course, if you're unfamiliar, the Staten Island ferry goes right on past the Statue of Liberty, and you get a really nice view of the Manhattan skyline.
Yeah, and it's free.
And it's free.
Yeah.
The ferry ride is about a half an hour in each direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I said there's no tickets. You just walk on. And it really was lovely.
It was a nice, sunny, crisp day.
Mm-hmm.
Probably maybe 40 degrees.
I don't even think it was that warm.
It was chilly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we, probably somewhere in the 30s, and you're getting a nice breeze, as you're sailing along. And it was just delightful. And I didn't realize, I have to admit, how huge the Staten Island ferry is.
They're big, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're big ferries.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as big as, I was comparing it to, I spent some time in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. Not as big as those ferries, like in Seattle, in that area. Those ones where cars and trucks drive right onto them. It is just a people mover. But yeah, me too. Bigger than I expected it to be.
Yeah, and the fact that, we were on one floor of the ferry, and there's 3 others.
Yeah, there's 3 decks.
That are just as large.
Yeah.
Just completely amazing to me. But it was a really, really lovely trip back and forth.
It was.
Across the harbor. And another thing that was really exciting, as we were waiting for the ferry, we saw a range of PETA ads.
In the Staten Island Ferry Terminal, which is a very large terminal.
Yes.
These huge backlit ads affixed to the walls of the ferry terminal. PETA ads. I think there were 3 of them.
There were. So all of the ads that we saw, because of course we're in a ferry terminal, were sea life based.
Right.
And so the first one that you see, you can't avoid it. Like you really can't. As you're walking up to the ferry doors.
The whole wall.
It takes the whole wall.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. And it was, the theme was Save the Whales, Don't Eat Fish. And on the other side of it, it says fishing gear kills 300,000 whales and dolphins annually. Go vegan.
Yeah.
And then just around the corner, there was another, and this again is it's a backlit ad, and it says towards the bottom, if you eat fish, other animals suffer and die too. Go vegan. And then they give some stats that each year, 250,000 sea turtles, 300,000 whales and dolphins, 345,000 seals and sea lions, 400,000 birds, including penguins, and 50 million sharks and rays become unintended victims of fishing. So they become bycatch.
Right.
And I just thought it was really fabulous.
I was so excited to see those. That was such an exciting surprise to see those giant ads all over the ferry terminal.
Yeah. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah. Blew me away.
So, you know what? Go PETA.
Go PETA and go the Staten Island ferry terminal for allowing them to put all those ads up around the terminal.
Yep. Pretty amazing.
So after a really pleasant ferry ride back, you do have to disembark once you get to the other side.
Yes.
And re-embark. Is that a word?
Yes. I think that's allowable. I'll allow it.
And then you have to get back on the ferry. Everybody has to get off. Then everybody has to get back on. And then you go back. It is a really pleasant ride, as Sam was saying.
Yeah.
With a beautiful view of Lady Liberty and the skyline. And we were lucky it was a nice clear day.
It was. Beautiful day.
Yeah. So after that, we walked to the 9/11 Memorial Park because I wanted to see that and I'd never seen it.
Yeah. This was really eerie for me.
Yeah.
Just because the last time I was on that particular piece of ground was at about 3:00 in the morning on 9/11/2001. I had been coming home from a teaching job in central New Jersey, and I walked underneath the Trade Center through like kind of the travel hub on my way to the PATH train that I would take home.
Yeah.
And so not having been down that far, not having been that far downtown, since then, it was really strange. It was eerie is just the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I teared up.
Me too.
All those names and I'm getting verklempt even now as I'm talking about it.
Yep.
All those names, all those poor people and their families, the families involved. And, you could see where people had laid flowers on some of the names.
It was lovely.
And it was really kind of devastating.
At the same time, like I was really, really pleased with the design of the memorial.
I thought it was it's well done.
It's subtle. It's elegant. The water is an incredibly wonderful touch.
Yeah.
It is meditative. Yes, it is sad, deeply sad, but I think it's really effective.
Yeah, I think it's really effective. And I think for people who lost people at the Trade Center, I think it's they made it so it's a good place for them to go and pay tribute to the people they lost.
Yes.
There's also a museum that you can go through, but we chose not to do that. I just think I was so devastated just by the memorials. I don't think I wanted to subject myself to it. We were there. When it happened. I mean, Sam was in New York City when it happened, but we know what happened, and I don't really need any more reminders of what that day looked like.
Sure.
It was pretty devastating day. So
yeah. But I'm very glad that we went and saw the memorial.
Yeah.
That was something I'd been interested in doing for quite some time.
Yeah, me too.
And so, I'm really glad we did it.
Me lovely. Too. And if you get a chance to experience it, I would encourage people to experience it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, after our trip to the 9/11 Memorial, we headed back to our hotel for a little bit to get just a little bit of rest, to charge our phones, that kind of a thing.
Yep.
Before heading off for our big night at the theater. Yes, at the theater. So after our break, we headed out to dinner, and we chose a restaurant that had actually been on my Happy Cow list. So we did make it to 2.
Okay.
restaurants on my Happy Cow list, not
Okay.
one, two. And it just so happened that that restaurant was not a half a block from the theater that we needed to.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it was perfectly located. And that restaurant is PS Kitchen.
Yeah, PS Kitchen.
Now, one of the super cool things about PS Kitchen, not only is it fully vegan, but all of their profits are given to charity.
Let me read what they had on the back of their menu. Yeah, so on the back of their menu, it says, our mission is to leverage the power of earth-conscious food and an open heart to lovingly serve our clients, employees, society, and the earth. We partner with social ventures and charities to empower the pursuit of justice and generosity locally and internationally. Our partnership reflects a threefold commitment. Number one, to create jobs for the marginalized in New York. Number two, to donate 100% of our profits to sustainable nonprofit work. And number three, to provide New Yorkers with delicious dishes that are kind to the body and to the earth.
How can you not get behind that?
Right?
All of those things.
Right.
So beautiful. So of all of the places we went this past weekend, if I had to choose one to say get out there and support them as much as you can, it would be PS Kitchen, hands down.
Yeah. It's funny, somebody in one of the Western New York vegan groups recently posed a question to people that they were going to New York and what restaurants did they recommend? And a number of people said, do not miss PS Kitchen.
And I second that very much so after our meal.
Yeah, they're at 246 West 48th Street.
Indeed. So as with our meal at Francia, we started the evening with a couple of drinks. I got the Parity Mocktail, which was a blend of pear juice, lime juice, a little bit of Demerara sugar, and ginger beer. It was spectacular.
It was tasty.
This was my mocktail of the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, you said you were sad when that one was
I was
gone.
very sad when it was gone. I really wanted the second one, but decided not to go there. It was absolutely delightful.
And I went with an Ithaca Brewing beer. I went with the Ithaca Brewing Apricot Wheat Ale, which was so good.
Had you ever had that before?
No, I haven't had that particular brew from Ithaca. I've had their other beers, and most of them are really good. And this was super apricot forward, very weedy. So good.
Nice.
Low in alcohol. Thank you.
Thank heaven.
Yeah. And I only had one. So there you go.
Right, exactly. And so we did also some starters. I actually went pretty simple. I went with a side salad for my starter.
That's right.
And I have to tell you, this was the most substantial, most beautifully executed side salad I have ever had.
Wow. They brought out this big bowl of salad for you.
Well, no, it wasn't a big
not huge or anything, but
you're exaggerating. No, it was a small bowl of salad.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful fresh greens and a reasonable amount of beautiful fresh greens, not a couple of leaves of iceberg lettuce or something like that.
No, it was well done.
Wonderful cucumbers and carrots and tomatoes and onion and a lovely mustard vinaigrette dressing. And I had it topped with avocado. It was just fabulous. And
so when you say a side salad, that's not what you picture, right?
No, it was a beautifully executed side salad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, when I order a side salad, I don't expect much.
Right.
This completely blew my expectations out of the water. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was really well done. And then I went with the Krabby Cakes, which are their version of a crab cake. And there were 3 beautiful little crab cakes on a plate. And it's made out of chickpeas, hearts of palm, artichoke, onion, garlic, and herbed panko. And they serve it with lemon and a vegan tartar sauce.
And I had one of the Krabby Cakes as well. Again, in the interest of kind of exploring the idea of veganized fish.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Again, texturally fantastic. Love the flavor. Oh my gosh, hearts of palm.
I know. I see a lot of people cooking with hearts of palm, and I have yet to make anything with hearts of palm. I'll have to get on that.
Yeah, I really, really loved it. So I thought that was great. The tartar sauce was lovely. It was tangy. It was lemony. It was dilly. It had a little bit of pickle flavor going on. All the good things.
Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them.
Yep. And for my entree, I decided to kind of stick with the theme of ordering things I might not normally order.
Right.
And so I went with their chicken pot pie. So this was a classic homemade pot pie with a flaky crust filled with herbed carrots, peas, and vegan chicken filling. And oh my gosh, was it awesome.
It looked really good. I did take one bite, I believe.
You did.
And it was delicious. And then Sam was like trying to get all of the crust around because it was like
crust was
baked
so
onto the
good.
outside of this large ramekin.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like trying to get this crust off the side because it was so good.
It was so good. I didn't
Yeah.
want any of the crust to go to waste.
Yeah.
It was so lovely. The gravy was perfect. Again, the vegetables, and you don't often get this in a pot pie, the vegetables still had bite.
Yeah, a lot of times they're mushy, right?
Exactly. And they were not. The vegetables still had bite. The vegan chicken was beautifully textured. Everything was really, really well seasoned. And that flaky crust on the top was to die for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was
Just
good.
amazing.
And I went with their seitan marsala, which was seitan medallions, garlic, sautéed spinach, mashed potatoes topped with a rich marsala mushroom gravy. And yeah, that gravy was
It
so
was
good.
impressive.
I love a good marsala. And their seitan, their little medallions of seitan were like perfectly done. And they had this kind of like crispy crust on them so that they didn't get mushy under all that beautiful gravy.
Yeah.
And of course, mashed potatoes. You can't go wrong with it.
It's
They were
hard too.
Really good mashed potatoes too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I was impressed that you got that dish because usually you don't go for cooked spinach.
I know, but I thought I'd give it a shot. You know, it was garlic spinach, so I'm like, it was delicious. I ate it all.
Yes.
I am not a fan of cooked spinach, and it was fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
going to try and make spinach that way sometime.
It was perfectly sauteed. It was just barely wilted.
Yeah, it wasn't mushy.
Right. Nice
Yeah.
and garlicky. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And after the meal, we decided to share a dessert. So we got their vegan brownie topped with house-made vanilla ice cream.
Who doesn't like a brownie? It's like a brownie sundae, basically. you know?
Yeah, only in this case, there were no syrups or anything
No.
on it. It
Just
was
a little dusting of cocoa powder.
Exactly. And this for me was probably like if there was a weak spot in the meal, this was it.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it, but there was also nothing blow your mind about it.
It was a
either, you know?
perfectly acceptable brownie.
Yeah.
It was well baked. It was nice and chewy. The ice cream was fantastic.
Yeah, the ice
actually.
cream was really good.
Ice cream was really good. But yeah, there was just nothing special about it.
Maybe it's just because it's such a simple thing. You know,
Yeah.
how do you make that special? You know, you just do it well is all you do.
And
you
they
know?
did do it well. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then it was off to the show.
Yes. So after a spectacular meal, and let me say that again, a spectacular meal at PS Kitchen, we headed right down the street to the theater to see Hadestown.
And we already told you about the show at the beginning of the episode. So
It was just a fabulous experience.
yeah, I re-listened to the soundtrack this morning while I was working on some podcast stuff.
I actually did a little bit of re-listening today too.
Did you?
Yeah, it was getting really cold in my office this afternoon.
Oh, really?
And so I decided to go into the studio like a half an hour before my first afternoon class and just walk in circles.
Yeah.
And so I
Warm
was,
up.
to warm up. And so I was listening to the Hadestown soundtrack while I was doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, check out the soundtrack if you don't have an opportunity to see the show. You can at least listen to the music. It's really good.
It is really, really good. Very, very folk influenced.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting because the real reason we headed off to see Hadestown is because an artist that is a mutual favorite of both of ours, Ani DeFranco, who is a Buffalo native, actually.
Go Ani.
Go Ani, has stepped into the role of Persephone. And so that was the big reason that we were going, was to see Ani.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should have known from the fact that Ani DeFranco was stepping into this show that there was going to be kind of a folk feel to a lot of the music, but it just didn't click in my head. And then as we're listening to these outstanding performers, absolutely outstanding, kind of perform this music, I'm hearing her influence everywhere.
Yeah. She had a lot to do with this show when it was not even a show yet, when it was just like a concept album that the creator came out with. And the original album came out on her record label, Righteous Babe. And so I think in the program it said that she considered herself the fairy godmother of Hadestown because she's been with this project since I think like 2009.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So it's definitely something that was, near and dear to her. And the fact that she stepped into that role, it was seamless. It was like it was written for her.
Right.
And who knows, maybe it was written with her in mind.
It could have been because she did voice Persephone on the concept album back in 2010.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe there was some intent there.
Yeah. And maybe it took them this long to convince her.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because she's never done anything like this before.
Right. I mean, I'd love to hear the backstory on that. I bet
would
it's
too.
Really, really interesting.
I would too.
And she was phenomenal.
She was perfect in the role.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And, I did get a little fangirly because I'm sorry, but it's the closest I have ever physically been to Ani DeFranco. She was at one point no further than like 20 feet from us.
Yeah, we had really good seats.
We did.
Thanks to Sam. She got us some really good seats.
Well, I got lucky.
Yeah.
The seats that are off to the side but close to the stage are a lot less expensive than the ones that are in the center and close to the stage.
Yeah. But I thought they were perfectly good seats.
Oh, they were wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really glad we were where
and
we
I
were.
was saying, because there is some, not to go on about the show because we already talked about it earlier in the episode, but the fact that we were where we were, where our sight line was right with the edge of the stage, I think it's actually better because some of the magic that's happening on the stage, as far as like sinking platforms and people disappearing, was more magical because we couldn't see what was happening.
Right. We couldn't see all the mechanisms.
Yeah. You couldn't see the mechanisms turning the stage and stuff. There was like there was like 3 sections of rotation going on at one point. And, I think it was more magical because we could only see like right at stage level. We couldn't see all the mechanisms popping out of the stage and stuff. So
yeah, just super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Great show. Can't say enough about it, but I think we have.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm just saying, if you're anywhere in the New York area and you really, really are looking for a show to see, don't miss out on Hadestown. Yeah. It's incredible.
There is a lot of really great theater going on right now.
There really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't miss it. I mean, it's been going since, 2019?
Yes.
And so...
Well, it opened in 2018 and won the 2019 Tony Award.
Yeah,
for Best Musical.
I think I read today that they're over 1,000 shows. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
So see it before it goes anywhere.
I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, probably not.
No, they're going to be hanging in there for a while.
Yeah. So that was our Thursday. And then because of that brownie, me and my stupid sensitivity to any kind of caffeine, including chocolate caffeine.
It always amazes me.
I was awake until 4:30. I mean, I never really slept.
No, you didn't.
I mean, I dozed on and off, but I was awake until like 4:35 in the morning.
I think it was a combination of, the sugar and the caffeine in the brownie, but then also I think you were probably a little hyped from the show.
A little hyped up, yeah.
And so you just did not get to sleep. Yeah. And so, I woke up relatively early in the morning. I woke up around 6 and Christine was dead to the world with no sign of waking up.
No sign of life.
No, not at all. And I'm like, that's okay. We're here on a mini break. We don't need to be going all the time. It's not necessary. And so I started doing a little bit of recon on where we could perhaps get some breakfast once Christine woke up.
Right.
And it took her quite a while to wake up. I don't think I ended up ordering breakfast until close to 10.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't slept.
Yeah. So,
all night, so.
I was up. I did some work. I did some research on more restaurants. I did email. I did my German lessons. I did, all kinds of things. And you were just out.
Yeah.
So anyway, after a little while, I found a spot where we could get some vegan breakfast delivered to us because Christine was still asleep.
I wasn't going anywhere.
And I wasn't feeling like going out to get takeout.
Yeah,
so
we had a chill morning.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So via Uber Eats, we got some breakfast from Gregory's Coffee. Now, Gregory's Coffee is not a fully vegan establishment.
No, it's a chain.
It's a chain. Mm-hmm. But again, we found a location that was just, 3 or 4 blocks away from our hotel. And they did have some lovely vegan options for breakfast sandwiches. Okay.
Yay, breakfast sandwiches.
Yay, breakfast sandwiches. So we each got a vegan deluxe croissant sandwich, which had vegan egg, Beyond sausage, and vegan cheddar cheese stacked in a absolutely fantastic, can I say this again? Fantastic.
Say it again.
Vegan chia seed croissant.
Yeah, chia seed croissant. Croissant.
Here we go.
Croissant. Yeah, vegan chia seed croissant. It was really different and delicious.
Yes, the sandwiches were great, but the croissants were the star.
Croissant.
Thank you. I love croissants, and it's one of those things that you don't get very often as a vegan because it's very rare that you find vegan croissants. And when you do, they're not often real great.
Right.
Because,
butter.
Butter, and no matter the similarity in flavor, just vegan butter does not hold up to heat in the same way that dairy butter does.
Yeah.
And so it can really change your baking if you're using vegan butter as opposed to dairy butter.
Yeah, we've had some pretty good vegan croissants.
Yes.
Don't get us wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But these were really different.
Oh, they were really good. And I also think they were using a whole grain flour. I don't think it was white flour.
No, I agree.
Yeah. There was something else going on there. So these were a slightly healthier than average croissant. But of course, what we were putting in them, well, not so much. Vegan egg, Beyond sausage, vegan cheddar cheese, all highly processed.
Yeah.
But really, really delicious.
It was really good. It hit the spot.
It did.
Yeah.
And they also had a vegan breakfast burrito.
Uh-huh.
We got one. It was a very small little burrito.
Yeah, we got one just to try
and we shared it between the two of us, and that was also delightful. That again was vegan egg and Beyond sausage and some cheddar cheese, along with some onions and peppers and some fried potatoes, all inside this little whole wheat tortilla.
Oh yeah, and I could totally see if we lived anywhere near this place that would be something that you'd pick up if you're on the go. That little burrito,
Oh yeah,
be a good way to just fuel up for a little bit before you start your day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we also, of course, got some beverages. And Christine had an almond milk decaf latte, which again, that's just exactly how she likes her coffee.
That's how I like it.
And I had an iced chai with pistachio milk.
Yeah, pistachio milk.
Yeah, I was
Go
really
figure.
impressed with Gregory's Coffee for the number of plant milk options that they had.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had a plant milk that I had never tried
Yeah, I
was
haven't either.
really pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So got some pistachio milk, and I really liked it. I tried the iced chai again the next morning because we kind of did a redo of Gregory's Coffee.
We did, because we were leaving the next morning.
Right. And so I got the iced chai with almond milk the second day. The pistachio was much better.
Really?
Yes. It was creamier. It was a little richer.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
Loved the pistachio milk. So that was a bit of a revelation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good breakfast, and I was thankful that Sam ordered and went down and got that.
Yeah. And then Christine managed to sleep most of the day.
I mean, like I said, I didn't sleep at all at night, so... And I knew we wanted to go do things later, so I'm like, I better sleep or I'm going to be grumpy.
Right.
And nobody wants me grumpy.
No, you are not pleasant when you are grumpy. No.
Yeah. So
once we got Christine awake to the world again, we headed out for our last big meal of the weekend, and that was dinner at Modern Love Brooklyn.
Yeah, Modern Love is one of Isa Chandra Moskowitz's restaurants.
Yes, it is.
So we were really looking forward to this.
Yes. So just as we are big fans of Ani DeFranco in the music world, we are big fans of Isa Chandra Moskowitz when it comes to the vegan cooking and cookbook world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her cookbooks are great.
Absolutely fantastic. In fact, Vegan with a Vengeance was probably the first vegan cookbook that I really got hooked on.
Yeah.
And, just all of the recipes, all of the writing in the cookbooks, it was just kind of immediately, I'm like, okay, not only is this a great book, this writer is just cool.
She's a cool person.
Yeah.
And I know we've used her books a number of times in our vegan cookbook challenge.
And I'm sure we will continue to do so.
We will, because we have like 3 or 4 of them.
At least.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her books are really good.
Yes, they are.
So what went down at Modern Love Brooklyn?
At Modern Love Brooklyn, again, we started off with some beverages, and I had their non-alcoholic blood orange margarita.
You did. And I had their passion fruit margarita.
Yes. Now, I took a sip of the passion fruit margarita. It was exceptional.
It was exquisite. Mm-hmm. Yes. Very good. I actually had 2.
Yes, you did.
That's how good they were.
They were very, very good.
Yeah. And not super there wasn't a ton of tequila in them because I had 2 and I wasn't even tipsy.
Nope.
So there you go.
But they were incredibly passion fruit forward. You could tell that it was a fresh passion fruit puree, that it wasn't just a syrup or a flavoring.
Yeah, it tasted like it was juice.
Yeah, it was really, really beautifully done. And my blood orange margarita was much the same. No alcohol, of course. And what really surprised me about the blood orange margarita is that there was a hint of heat in it. I feel like there was just a little bit of chili or something underneath the blood orange, which really made the citrus of the orange stand out.
Yeah, definitely a couple hits of hot sauce or something in there.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very nice.
Mm-hmm. And then so we got our starter, and our starter that we went with was their Brussels aioli, which was roasted Brussels sprouts, toasted pine nuts, garlic aioli, lemon, arugula, and sorrel.
Yes.
Or sorrel, as some people call it.
Yeah, sorrel. And so this was fantastic. If you've listened to the podcast for any length of time, you'll know that both Christine and I are huge fans of roasted Brussels sprouts.
Love the Brussels.
Just love them. And so decided to, just go for this immediately. And what was really interesting was that as we're eating them, and they were absolutely beautiful, texturally perfect, flavor was fantastic, but Christine's going, I never thought to do this with Brussels sprouts. And it was just, an aioli, a lemon and garlic aioli over the Brussels sprouts with some pine nuts and some arugula. She's like, I never would have thought. I just roast Brussels sprouts.
I just roast them. Sometimes I do some balsamic. Sometimes I do a little tamari or something like that, and a little olive oil. I'm going to definitely try them this way, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to the day that you do that because these were exceptional. Like just that little bit of fat in the aioli, I don't know, brought out something different in the Brussels sprouts.
It totally did.
Yeah. And then also having those really lovely kind of fresh greens with the arugula and the sorrel was just a really wonderful companion.
Yeah.
So, yes, I fully support your quest to make roasted Brussels sprouts in the style of Isa's Brussels aioli.
I'm totally going to. I'll report back.
Bring it on.
So then what did we do for our mains?
Oh my gosh, the mains. So I went with the acorn squash curry.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Now, I was considering a sandwich because, I don't know, a sandwich was just sounding good to me.
All their sandwiches sounded fantastic.
They really did. But I'm like, acorn squash curry, that's not something I'm going to be able to find.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
You don't see that every day.
Yeah.
And so I had to go with the acorn squash curry. And so this was a golden coconut curry with roasted acorn squash, adzuki beans, sauteed spinach, apricot chutney, jasmine brown rice, cayenne candied pecans, pickled red onion, Aleppo pepper, cilantro, and avocado.
There's a lot going on there.
So much going on.
Yeah.
So many flavors, so many textures. It was sweet and savory. It was warming and cooling. It was spicy and, I don't know, just every duality you can think of
Yeah.
when it comes to food. It was in this bowl.
Yeah, I tried the curry. It was delicious, but I didn't, get all of the things. What is an adzuki bean?
It's a bean.
Let's Google it.
A few moments later.
The adzuki bean is a red bean or red mung bean.
Okay. Yeah, it does look like it looks like a small pinto bean.
Yes, it's an annual vine widely cultivated throughout East Asia for its small bean.
Yeah, and this says the adzuki bean has a nutty flavor with earthy undertones rounded out by a mellow but palpable sweetness.
I agree with that. Yes, that seems to be an accurate description of the flavor.
Yeah, it says when cooked, the beans develop a soft and creamy texture with a slightly gritty quality and are still able to hold their shape. So it's a good bean for curries and soups and stuff like that because it can hold up. I'm going to have to look into that adzuki bean.
Yeah, it was absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
Every component, I tried to taste them separately while at the same time trying to get bites that had at least
everything
all at once. And when you got those moments of multiple components at the same time, so you got some curry, you got some squash, you got some spinach, and you got a little bit of the apricot and maybe a hit of avocado all on the same bite.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. It was just like a complete and utter explosion of flavor.
It was a beautiful dish, too.
It was a beautiful dish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice.
And I went for the chickpea Parmesan Hero. So I did go for a sandwich. And this was chickpea cutlets, marinara, cashew mozzarella, pesto, arugula, pepita Parmesan, fresh basil on a toasted garlic hero roll.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good sandwich.
It was beautiful. Like just looking at it, it was beautiful. And this came with fries.
Yep, I got it with fries.
And I had a few of Christine's fries and they were delightful.
Oh, the fries were great.
Yeah, kind of thick cut
Yeah.
fries. Perfectly cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. And did you give me a bite of the sandwich? Yes.
I think I did.
One little bite of the sandwich.
Yes, I gave you one small bite.
Yes, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, these chickpea cutlets, so good and crispy and breaded and just this perfect juxtaposition to all of the kind of ooey gooey other stuff going on in the sandwich. It was just,
Yeah.
It hit the spot.
Yeah. I think we
really
should
well.
also, while you're investigating, recreating the Brussels aioli, I think you should also investigate how to make chickpea cutlets.
Yeah, it might be in one of the books.
So often we think about like the vegan version of a Parmesan is going to be eggplant.
Right.
And I have no problem with that. I love eggplant.
Yeah, I do too.
But those chickpea cutlets, like even just that little bite that I got, they were just so crispy and flavorful.
Super well seasoned. Yeah.
Yeah. So for a sandwich, I think they might even work better than eggplant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be into trying to create those at home.
Yeah, it was something really different that I'd never tried before. And wow.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
All that, the basil and the pesto and the cashew mozzarella and everything. It was just such a great combination of flavors and textures. Great
beautiful.
sandwich.
Yeah. Another beautiful meal.
Yep.
Like seriously, every place we went, like there was not a miss.
No, we got lucky.
There was not a miss.
Yeah.
It was really quite wonderful.
Yeah. So that was our last evening there in New York City.
Yes. Now, on Saturday mornings, we're getting ready to go home, and we had actually made reservations at another restaurant down in the West Village, but we decided to forgo the reservation because it was cold, it was snowy.
Yeah.
We didn't feel like schlepping our bags downtown.
Yeah.
So a lot of things went into the decision, and we just decided to forgo our last planned meal and instead just go ahead and get sandwiches from Gregory's Coffee once again.
Croissant. So we got those croissant sandwiches again just to fuel our departure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And they were just as good the second time.
They really were. So can definitely recommend those.
Yeah.
So we checked out of our hotel and we walked ourselves back to Penn Station, and our train, we had to check out of the hotel at 11 and our train wasn't leaving until about 20 after 1. So we were hanging out in the train station, just kind of sitting around watching some kids, rehearse some dance routines that they were working on, which was kind of interesting. Some kind of like K-poppy kind of stuff that they were working on.
They were fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And then we decided to take a little bit of a walk because we'd been sitting for a while and we were getting a little stiff from sitting on the floor.
Yeah, and Penn Station, or actually the Moynihan part of Penn Station, has a pretty substantial food court.
Yes, it's actually referred to as the Moynihan Food Hall.
Okay.
So it's a relatively new section of Penn Station attached to the Moynihan Train Hall, which is where the Amtrak trains go in and out of.
Yeah.
Okay. So we headed up to the Moynihan Food Hall and just decided to look around and see if there was anything available. It's an 8-hour train trip from New York back to Buffalo. So we knew that we weren't going to be getting any food on that train home. So we're kind of like, maybe we should look and see if there's anything we can either have before we go or something that we can get and bring with us on the train, that kind of a thing. So we only ran into 2 spots that had anything that looked doable.
Right.
Okay. And one was a kind of a falafel place that looked to have a couple of vegan options. And the second one was a place called Burger Joint.
The Burger Joint. Yeah.
Nope, not even the.
Oh, Burger Joint.
Just Burger Joint. Yes. And so, which is exactly what it was. It was a burger joint. And they were doing Beyond Burgers. So we each got a Beyond Burger with vegan cheese and some shoestring fries.
They had vegan cheese, so
they did.
Come on.
And the burgers were topped with kind of all the good stuff: lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, ketchup, mustard.
Typical.
We, of course, had to forego the mayo. The burgers were, for a fast food burger, I thought they were really tasty.
Yeah, they were well done.
Yeah. Well done. Fries were really good.
Yeah, they gave you a big old bag of fries.
Big bag of fries.
Yeah.
And I love shoestring potatoes, like nice skinny fries. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So those were great. We're actually trying to get them put into the Happy Cow search engine.
Right.
I'm working on getting that done.
Yeah, it's really important for those places to be on Happy Cow in places where you're traveling, because that's where it's the most difficult to find vegan
Airports
options.
And train stations are the hardest.
Yeah.
Like once you're in a city and you're walking around, like it's not hard most of the time to find a place that, even if it's not fully vegan, will have a couple of vegan options. But it's in those intermediary places. It's in the airports. It's in the train stations.
Right.
It's at the bus stops or at the rest areas on the thruway where it's really hard to find something that we can eat.
Yeah. So it's important to get those things. If you find a place, if you use the Happy Cow app and you don't see them on the app, you can have them added in.
Yes.
And that's an important thing to do.
Yes.
Well, we are at almost an hour and 40 minutes now. So we better get moving. We got to get moving.
So sorry.
If you listening at home would like to take a break or something, we'll wait.
We're waiting for people to take a break?
I'm kidding.
You said move along, but we're waiting for people to take a break.
I'm kidding.
This makes no sense.
No, let's go ahead and move on, and let's move on to our helpful tip to encourage people to go.
Before we do that, let's
vegan.
At least wrap this up.
All right, let's wrap it up.
We had an absolutely amazing time.
We did.
In New York. And seriously, for those vegan foodies out there who are looking for all of the vegan restaurants, New York is a must. It's an absolute must.
Yeah.
Like I said, we could do this trip every year for the rest of our lives and not experience every vegan place that's available in New York
there's
City.
so many places, and so many people gave us recommendations of places we should try, and we just can't get to all of them. So we'll go back.
Because you only have so much time, money, and stomach space.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I highly recommend all of the places that we went to. And again, if you are traveling with, vegan foodie adventures in mind, New York's a really good stop.
It is indeed. Okay, now we can move on to our helpful tip to encourage you to go vegan and stay vegan.
Indeed. And this week's tip is to become actively involved in animal advocacy and rescue efforts. You can volunteer at animal shelters or sanctuaries, participate in protests or campaigns against animal cruelty, and support organizations dedicated to animal welfare. Additionally, you can consider using your voice to raise awareness about animal rights issues through social media, writing articles or blogs, and having conversations with friends and family. By taking tangible actions to protect and advocate for animals, you can make a meaningful difference in their lives and contribute to a more compassionate world.
And guess what?
What?
We have a listener shout out. We asked.
Yes.
And you people responded. I now have a number of new listener shout outs in the queue.
That's amazing.
In the queue. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, listeners.
Who reached out and either nominated someone or said, hey, I listen. And so it's time for a listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's listener shout out goes to Sarah Woodard of Spark Consciousness. Sarah has been a longtime supporter of the show, and we have collaborated with her in the past on a few recipes.
We have.
Sarah is vegan, a children's author, a nature lover, and her mission is to help people live more meaningful and purposeful lives. You can check out her work at sparkconsciousness.net. Sarah was also kind enough to make us aware of a recent technical issue with our weekly newsletter, so thank you, Sarah, for that.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. If anybody has tried to respond to our weekly newsletter, that was the issue. It was bouncing back. Those emails were bouncing back, and it was an issue with our website provider. Mm-hmm. I have since corrected that issue after 2 hours on their helpline, only to figure it out myself. Thank you, but no thank you. And so thank you so much for pointing that out, Sarah, and thank you so much for listening. And you can contact us with your t-shirt size and address so we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. You can either email that to us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
And if any of you out there would like a shout out like Sarah got this week, you know what to do. Email or DM Christine. Let us know what you think of the show and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, and remember, you can nominate other people for shout-outs also.
Yes, you can. It doesn't have to be self-serving.
It doesn't. You want us to say happy birthday to somebody or happy anniversary. We are more than happy to do that.
Oh my gosh, we love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah. And that brings us to our vegan org of the week. This week's vegan org is Briarwood Farm Sanctuary.
Briarwood Farm Sanctuary is a 501c3 nonprofit located in central New York State. They are dedicated to providing respect, love, and care for farm animals in need. They advocate for and educate about compassion and respect for all animals. You can follow them and their work at Instagram.com/Briarwood Farm Sanctuary and on Facebook at Friends of Briarwood Farm Sanctuary.
Yeah, they do wonderful work, so check them out. It's time to wrap this baby up. Just a few calls to action for you. We always encourage you to join the AFA Vegan Voter Hub, and we always put the link in the show notes. We encourage you to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app and on our YouTube channel. And send us your favorite vegan recipes for our listener recipe series.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 127 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion.
On the podcast. Thank you, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Bye-bye.
The end.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 127 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.
You have.
Do you want to finish this episode?
No. I mean, yes.
So will you keep your mouth shut so I can finish this?
Take 3.
Thank you.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our Vegan Kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.